Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Head. Hopefully like this video and hit that subscribe button. So we're going to talk about in this video some options for the Mets if they lose Pete Alonso. And an interesting story came out on Saturday after Teoscar Hernandez re-signed with the Dodgers. Let me read you this, and we're going to go through a couple names here that you may not have heard with the Mets. Well, maybe one or two, but New York Mets reportedly made an offer to outfielder DH Teoscar Hernandez before he ultimately re-signed with the Dodgers. Interesting. Although the Mets inked superstar right fielder Juan Soto to a 15-year, $765 million deal, the team is still interested in adding another corner outfield DH-type bat. According to Tim Healy of Newsday, the Mets made a 2-year offer to Teoscar Hernandez before the outfielder DH ultimately chose to re-sign with the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Hernandez, who's 32, made it clear that he wanted to return to the Dodgers, and on Friday he signed a 3-year, $66 million deal with the Dodgers that has a 4th-year option for $15 million, according to ESPN's Jeff Passan. In addition to Hernandez, the Mets had reported interest in outfielder DH Jock Peterson prior to the 32-year-old signing a 2-year, $37 million contract with the Texas Rangers that has an opt-out after the first season. As Mets on SI previously reported, the Mets have been talking to teams about trading outfielder DH Starlin Marte for relief help and are willing to pay down a portion of the $20.75 million salary to move him. With the arrival of Soto, Marte is now a backup outfielder and currently projected to be the Mets' everyday DH. This could still happen unless the Mets wind up dealing him and bringing another corner outfielder DH option. Trade deadline acquisition spark plug Jesse Winker could still potentially return to the Mets. According to Will Sam, The Athletic, the Mets have had at least some sort of interest in reuniting with Winker, another corner outfielder. Now here's a couple of names, and they, as you know, the Mets had even mentioned, like, look, the whole entire baseball universe is open to us, and we're going to do whatever we got to do to make this team be a World Series champion for many years, not just for next year or the year after, many years. So I'm going to throw a couple of names out there, and this thing about Hernandez was surprising because I hadn't heard this, but it tells you how secretive now. And how they've closed the lid on all the things getting out, the leaks getting out. The only thing we've heard is from this kid, Carlos Mendoza's son, blabbermouthing on social media about the contract that Juan Soto was going to get from the Mets. And he actually had a few less $1 million than what he actually got. But there's a couple of names to keep out there. Now, we know that they've talked to Alex Bregman. Someone online had said within the next few days that Corbin Burns was going to sign and Alex Bregman was going to sign. That was before Burns signed. Mr. Burns, excellent. Signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks, which was probably the biggest surprise for anybody in baseball because people were saying he was going to go back to the Orioles or the Blue Jays. I would mention about the Orioles. What the hell are they doing? They have a very young, talented team, a very good core. Can they complement that team with some kind of talent other than Tyler O'Neill? I mean, the owner says he's willing to spend, but the general manager doesn't seem like he wants to spend anything. Now, I know they were willing to give Burns a big contract, but you'd think they would have been in on Juan Soto or some of these other big free agents. It's a good free agent class this year. Nothing. You haven't heard anything about them. That's very disturbing, especially since they sold the team. And the fans were begging them to sell the team so they could spend money. Anyway, back to the Mets. Keep an eye on, and speaking of the Orioles, like I said, keep an eye on Anthony Santander because his market has been very quiet. We've heard nothing with him. Nothing. And he has qualifying off. Now, last year he hit .236, but he had 44 home runs and hit over 100 RBIs. Last 3 years, he's been one of the big power hitters in the American League. He's a guy who can play right field. He can play a little bit of first. You can DH him. He's not the most athletic hitter in the world, a player in the world, but he does some things that you like, and that's be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And obviously, and he's a switch hitter. The Mets would be very interested in one. Now, I've not seen that anywhere with him with the Mets. I'm throwing that out there. They may be talking to him, considering that they talked to Hernandez, and they have mentioned they'll talk to anybody. And as you know, they're talking to Bregman. We'll find out what's going on with Bregman. Now to go back to that, we'll find out what's going on with Bregman. I think before the New Year. I think we'll find out by Tuesday. Before Tuesday, I would think. That's what I think. And I'll mention about Pete Alonso. We won't hear about him until after the New Year. But Pete needs to sign with the Mets. He cannot go to the San Francisco Giants. That is ridiculous. But anyway, keep an eye on Josh Bell. I'm not too enamored with him. He might be a guy that they might throw in there for 1 year. And if you do that, if you go and bring in a guy for 1 year, you know what that means. Everybody's going to be talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Bring in Vladdy Jr. You know, bring him in. I know one thing. Guerrero Jr. is not going to resign with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'd be shocked. He shouldn't. No player should want to play there. If you're a veteran player, get the hell out of Canada. It's a tyranny up there. You don't want to be there. You want to get the hell out of there. That's why players are not signing there. Because they know how much of a disaster the country is, how much of a disaster the prime minister is. And that's why no team is going, no player, or any salt now, is going up there to Canada. They're just not doing it. So whatever the Blue Jays offer him, they are not going to be able to sign him because he's going to want to get out of there. So that's a guy to keep an eye on for next year. But we're going to be hearing a lot about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., especially if the Mets don't re-sign Pete Alonso. If you don't see Pete on this team, that's all we're going to hear about all year long. Always the next baseball card I got to get. I got to get the next baseball card. You know, that's how I kind of look at it when people like write to me and they leave me these wonderful comments. The Mets get this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and then except for the offseason, it's like they're trying to collect baseball cards. They're more into, you know. And that's the next baseball card, folks. It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as a New York Met. That's going to be the next big player to talk about. And if they lose Pete, if Pete goes to San Francisco or wherever, either San Francisco or Seattle, his career finished. In terms of getting the postseason, having big moments. And he will basically go down the route of Michael Conforto and all the money that Michael left on the table because he didn't sign with them, re-extend with the Mets. And that's what looks like it's going to happen with Pete. But again, let's go through some of the players that are available here in this free agency. Still Pete Alonso. I still think he's going to be here. I think the chances are starting to decrease, I think. I thought they were probably at 65%. I haven't given percentages. I think it's gone down to about 54%. Just thrown it out there. I don't know why. I think Bregman has a good chance to be here. Has a good chance to sign very soon. The Tigers are still out there. The Red Sox are still out there. Anthony Santander, we've not heard anything about him. We'll keep an eye on it. That's a guy that could help the Mets. He could help anybody. I would not give him more than 3 years, okay? And he's 29 years old. He's a little bit, about the same age as some of these other guys. Keep an eye on Josh Bell. I don't want him at all, but let's sign him. They'll put him, bottom of the lineup, but he's not a lot of protection for Soto. He's not strong enough, okay? And he's so up and down offensively, Also, we're going to hear a lot about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We're just going to hear a lot about Jr. We just are. At some point. Especially if the Mets don't re-sign Pete. And keep an eye on Jesse Winker. He might be coming back. He might not be coming back. He's not indispensable. The same goes for Jose Iglesias as well. He is not indispensable. He's not. I know people want Iglesias back so badly, but he's 35 years old going into next season. I want to see my young players play, guys that have a future. He had a career year this past year with a little under 300 at-bats. and he fizzled out in the postseason. All right. I want to see Acuna playing. I want to see Ron Mauricio playing. God help me, I want to see Brett Beatty play. I want to see these guys can perform and play them at second base. Okay. And even actually see Jeff McNeil back. Because Jeff, I can move him around. I can move him in the outfield and second base as well. So it gives them a lot of flexibility. But that's where things stand as I do this video on Saturday night for you on Sunday. Just so you know, if you're not on X, you're not on any different social media following this stuff, you need to subscribe to the Baseball Hut, because here I'll get you everything and more, and I'll lay it out on the table. Why things are happening the way they are, according to myself, according to how I think, and I'll tell you if I find a rumor that I think is interesting for you to talk about. Interesting. And we'll discuss it here. I am not perfect. I do get things wrong, not too often. But I do bring up rumors that I think are interesting to talk about. And we'll talk about it here. Nothing wrong with that. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. And again, if you're not on X, you're not on Facebook or anything like that, and you want to follow the Mets, you follow it here. And you'll get as much information as you could possibly get. And my spunky personality. I want to have a call me spunky. I don't know why I came up with that. More like a curmudgeon personality. You're going to find that. Well, thank you for watching this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.